First off, we got this nerd named Paul, who's supposed to be running the projector, but he's too busy burying his nose in some lame book about a bunch of people who went missing. Dude, get your head out of the books and do your job, you slacker. So, the lights go out, and suddenly, the whole theater is empty. Did everyone just vanish into thin air or what? Nah, they probably just realized how whack this movie was and dipped out before they wasted any more of their lives. But Paul's clueless butt is wandering around like a lost puppy, completely oblivious to the fact that everyone's gone. Seriously, dude, wake up and smell the coffee. Then we got this nurse chick, Rosemary, who's all freaked out because everyone in the hospital disappeared too. No surprise there. They probably saw this movie's script and ran for the hills. She finds some poor dude mid-surgery, and then he vanishes too. Talk about a botched operation. Maybe the surgeons realized they were wasting their time and decided to hit up the nearest bar instead. And then there's this reporter dude named Luke, who wakes up to find his girl's gone missing. Gee, I wonder what happened to her. Could it be the same thing that happened to everyone else? Nah, couldn't be. That would be too logical for this train wreck of a movie. So, Luke's wandering around like a headless chicken trying to figure out what's going on. He sees a plane crash and abandoned cars everywhere, but he's still clueless. Dude, put two and two together. The world's ending and you're too dense to realize it. And then, we got this mysterious shadow following Luke around. Ooh, how spooky. Maybe it's the Grim Reaper coming to put us all out of our misery and save us from having to watch any more of this garbage fire. 72 hours later, Luke's still out there trying to start a car like a caveman trying to rub two sticks together. Dude, just give up already. The world's over and no one's left to rescue your dumb butt. Strap yourselves in, folks, cause this hot mess of a movie just keeps getting messier. So, a poor schmuck bangs on the window asking for help, but good old Luke just locks the door and lets this creepy shadow take the dude out. Talk about a cold-hearted move. I guess self-preservation is the name of the game in this apocalyptic wasteland. But wait, it gets better. There's this little girl with a flashlight watching Luke like a tiny, creepy stalker. Didn't anyone teach this kid not to follow strangers? Or maybe she's just hoping Luke will make a tasty snack when the food runs out. Luke finally finds a car with its headlights on, but of course it doesn't start. Because in this movie, nothing can ever be easy or make sense. Then he stumbles into a pub, and surprise, surprise, it's empty too. Did the whole world just up and vanish or what? But at least there's booze, so Luke can drown his sorrows and forget about the dumpster fire this movie has become. Just when you think it can't get any weirder, a 12-year-old kid named James pops up and points a rifle at Luke. Because why not arm a preteen in the apocalypse? That's totally normal and not at all a recipe for disaster. James is waiting for his mom to come back from asking the church for help. Yeah, good luck with that kid. Mommy's probably been raptured or something, just like everyone else in this forsaken place. Then the nurse Rosemary barges in, looking for her baby Manny. Because of course, she's still clinging to the hope that her kid is alive, even though the whole world has gone to hell in a handbasket. She goes full psycho mode, pointing a gun at Luke and James like they're the ones who kidnapped her kid. Lady, they're probably the only sane people left in this madhouse. Just when you think it can't get any crazier, the movie flashes back to Rosemary in the hospital, taking a smoke break. Because priorities. Who cares if the world is ending, a girl needs her nicotine fix. So Rosemary goes to her baby's crib, hoping to find her little bundle of joy. But surprise, surprise, the kid's gone. Did anyone really expect anything else in this nightmare of a movie? Cut back to the present, and Rosemary's whipping out glow sticks like she's at a rave party instead of in the middle of the apocalypse. Then they hear a scream from outside, and the two knuckleheads want Luke to go investigate. Yeah, because running towards potential danger is always a great idea, especially when you're already surrounded by crazy shadows that make people disappear into thin air. But good old Luke, being the stand-up guy he is, decides to risk his life and go search for this random screamer. And what does he find? None other than our pal Paul, the projectionist nerd, beaten and bruised at a bus stop. Apparently, Paul got clocked in the head by some mysterious shadow, and it tried to drag him into the void. But lucky for him, his trusty headlamp saved the day, and he managed to escape back to the real world. So, they haul Paul's sorry butt back to the pub, and Rosemary plays doctor, patching him up like a pro. I guess all those years of med school really paid off. Then Paul starts spinning this yarn about how the shadows were whispering to him, begging him for help. Yeah, because that's not creepy at all. Rosemary, being the religious nut she is, decides that they've all been left behind as punishment by God. because that's totally a logical explanation for what's happening. Meanwhile, Luke's trying to be the voice of reason, arguing that there is no God and they don't deserve this nonsense. But let's be real. In a movie this bonkers, logic went out the window ages ago. So, they head down to the basement to fix the generator, and Paul starts rambling about this book he read about the lost colony of Roanoke. Apparently, a whole bunch of people just up and vanished one day, leaving behind a creepy word carved into a fence. And because this movie loves to torture us, Paul doesn't even know what the word means. Talk about a letdown. Frustrated, Paul starts kicking the generator like a toddler having a tantrum, and of course he injures himself. Because why not add another layer of chaos to this already insane situation? So Luke gets this genius idea to hightail it to Chicago to meet up with other survivors. Yeah, because driving across the apocalyptic wasteland is totally safe and not at all a recipe for disaster. But our boy Luke is determined, so he convinces Rosemary to hop on board the "let's abandon the preteen and injured guy" train. Real classy move there, guys. They decide to go retrieve a truck because, why make things easy? Gotta add some extra obstacles to really ramp up the chaos. Meanwhile, Paul is slowly slipping into unconsciousness, but not before having a deep, philosophical chat with young James about life's greatest mysteries. And because this movie loves tormenting us, we get treated to a fantasy sequence of James imagining the bar full of people again. Just when you think it can't get any weirder, Luke and Rosemary spot a creepy little girl holding a flashlight in the distance. Because what apocalypse is complete without a creepy kid thrown into the mix? They try to approach her, but she runs off like a frightened rabbit. Luke, being the brilliant mind he is, decides to chase after her and almost gets swallowed up by the shadows. Good thing that trusty truck headlight saved his bacon. Back at the pub, Paul wakes up and goes on a little adventure, following a well-lit tunnel like a moth to a flame. But surprise, surprise, it's a dead end. Did anyone expect anything else in this maze of a movie? Just when you think Paul's about to meet his demise, it's revealed to be all a dream, and he's actually still lying unconscious on the pool table. Talk about a letdown. But don't worry, the movie has to keep things interesting, so Paul's clothes suddenly appear empty, indicating that the shadows have claimed him. James returns to find his new pal gone, adding another layer of tragedy to this already depressing tale. Not to be outdone, Luke and Rosemary's torches decide to run out of batteries at the most inopportune time. So, they head to a nearby hospital, because that's totally a smart idea in the middle of the apocalypse. And what do they find? A matchstick and some cloth to start a fire. Genius. Absolute genius. So Rosemary goes off in search of some rubbing alcohol to use as fuel. But of course, she hears a baby crying, and falls for the oldest trick in the book, the good old stroller lure. Did this lady not get the memo that the shadows are using every dirty trick in the book to drag people into the abyss? Apparently not, because she walks right into their trap like a lamb to the slaughter. Way to go, Rosemary. Your mom skills are top-notch. Meanwhile, Luke manages to haul his sorry butt back to the pub with the truck, reuniting with young James. And what's their grand plan, you ask? Driving straight into the heart of the apocalypse, of course. They use the backup generator to get the truck started, and off they go, careening towards their inevitable doom. But wait, it gets better. They end up crashing right in front of a church, because nothing says House of God quite like a twisted hunk of metal in the front yard. And despite Luke's warnings, James just has to run inside the church to look for his mommy dearest. Just when you think James is about to become Shadow Chow, Luke rushes in and saves the day. But then he spots the word Croatoan carved into a road sign, and suddenly everything makes sense. Not really, because this movie has about as much logic as a drunk unicorn. James claims he hears his mom calling him, so he ditches Luke's sorry butt again. And of course, it's just another shadow trap, because this movie loves toying with our emotions. The car's headlights go out, Luke vanishes into thin air, and suddenly James is the last survivor standing. Talk about a twist no one saw coming. So there he is, sitting in a church surrounded by slowly extinguishing candles, like some sort of apocalyptic vigil. But don't worry, folks, the movie's not done torturing us yet. The next morning, the sun rises, and James is still alive and kicking. And who should show up but the creepy little girl from earlier, Brianna, with her trusty solar-powered flashlight. They hop on a conveniently placed horse and ride off into the sunset, presumably to find some other nightmarish scenario to endure. Because why not, right? And just to add one final gut punch, we see the shadows of Luke, Rosemary, and Paul watching over the kids as they ride off. Talk about a heartwarming ending to this madhouse of a movie.